20th, 2018. We are in Season 3, Episode 3. Our show can be found around the web at wolfman.com, barefootbushcraft.com, aroundthecabin.com, Freedomizer Radio, Canadian Preppers Network, Prepper Survival Homestead, American Prepper Network, survivalcentral.net, iTunes, and many other fine websites. I'm your host, the Wolfman. And of course, as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Tori.
Hi.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk about a dog being mistaken for a wolf in Alberta, Canada. We're going to talk about hiking visibility, and being as it's dog-related, we are going to talk to our special guest, dog musher and entrepreneur, Zoya Denure, all the way from Alaska. So welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Barefoot Bushcraft Radio Show. As always, we have a great show in store for you. And so this week here at Barefoot Bushcraft, it is kind of cold, miserable weather. We don't operate anything under minus 10 Celsius. So it's been a little bit below that for us. So we're kind of on pause operation-wise. But we're always working behind the scenes for programs with local cities and municipalities, great things like that. I want to make everybody aware that the annual Preppers Meet, which is held just outside of Owen Sound in Ontario, Canada, is going to be July 6th, 7th, and 8th this year. Now, if you ever had the opportunity to go to one of these events, they are a massively great opportunity for your personal education. And that means you will get to go to these events, you will get to meet all kinds of amazing, like-minded people, talk about every single thing from politics to the end of the world as we know it and everything in between. It's a really amazing event with some really great people, hosted by one of our segment producers on the show from time to time. His name is Che. He puts that together. He puts that on with an organization called Zombie Survival Camp up in, like I said, the Owen Sound area. You will learn everything from, we've had firearms training going on there. We've had how to process rabbits and farm animals. So they will bring live rabbits, chickens, whatever. You will dispatch them, as it's called. Then you learn how to open them up, turn them into, stews, soups, things like that. Sounds kind of gross, but it's very educational, very good, like a self-reliant skill. And we do talk about a lot about self-reliance on the show. So it's fantastic organization, fantastic thing. Barefoot Bushcraft, of course, is there. We usually offer archery and axe throwing services. Usually we do fire starting, things like that. A lot of fun if you have the opportunity to go to that. So again, we will be getting into our first segment here, which is
In the News.
An investigation is underway in west central Alberta by the RCMP after a hunter mistook a dog for a wolf and shot it in a rural area. This was posted on January 17th. So the police said on about 3 p.m. on the Saturday, officers were dispatched to an area off Highway 40 North near the community of Entrance, Alberta, which is 300 kilometers west of Edmonton. They say a dog, a husky, was hiking off-leash with its owner when it was shot by a man who was lawfully hunting in the area at the time. The dog, Mika, belongs to Bethany Dick, a mother who lives in Hinton, Alberta. She was out for a walk in Athabasca Public Land Use Zone, a recreational area with hiking trails, but where hunters are also allowed to hunt along with 2 friends and another dog. They were heading back to their vehicle where they were parked. They were about half a kilometer from their vehicle. The dogs were running and playing ahead of us, and they came out onto the road. Mika came out on the road and was instantly shot, Dick said. She said she ran through the trees onto the road and saw her flailing, obviously shot dog. She raced over to her. There was blood and grabbed her. We could see the hunter that had shot her. He was about 30 meters ahead of her and was walking towards us. Dick told Global News the hunter apologized for what had happened and said he thought Mika was a wolf when he fired his gun. She said the hunter would also contribute to Mika's vet bills and gave her his number. She told Global News the hunter seemed defensive, which she attributed to him making probably one of the biggest mistakes of his life. Bethany and her friend tied a tourniquet around Mika's leg and then drove to a veterinarian in Hinton. She was watching Mika's chest move up and down. She had no clue where the bullet had entered. She didn't know if it had exited, and she had no idea of the damage that was done. Mika's leg was injured, but the bullet exited her body. Her leg has been immobilized with something similar to a cast, and the vet says that she suffered significant bone damage and that she may need surgery. Mika is now at home recovering. The vet bills for Mika's treatment will cost between $6,500 and $7,500. She said the hunter has now offered to pay $1,000, but that isn't enough. There is a GoFundMe account that has been started for Mika's vet bills. If anybody would like to contribute, you'll just probably have to look it up under GoFundMe and find it. Dick describes Mika as the best sidekick I could have asked for and my ultimate adventure buddy. And she's very upset. She wants to prevent something similar from happening to other dog owners. She is in an area that is quite frequently used by hunters, and hunters do hunt wolves. She was out after the main hunt, the most big game hunt, is over. She is quoted as, "I just know that if someone is out hunting big game and they misidentify a species, there's a fine. If you're hunting wolves and you don't have a tag, first of all, and then you misidentify a dog as a wolf, there's no fine. And I just don't understand how that makes sense." She said normally she ties a bright orange flag to Mika's collar during hunting season, but said since hunting season for most big game was over already, she hadn't replaced the flag that she'd lost. She said it slipped her mind that the wolf hunters could be out. The RCMP said the hunter has been cooperative with investigators, and at this time, no charges have been laid.
Wow, this is a very hard article to read, of course. We have huskies, we have racing huskies. We take them out all the time, and it's very, very sad when you hear a story like this. But it's not the first story like this. There's a lot of stories like this.
And it's probably not going to be the last either.
No, it's not. And it's very unfortunate. Like, when you read through this article, there's mistakes made on both sides. The strange thing is, for whatever reason, the police are just not laying a charge in this. I mean, there's, from a firearms perspective, that's negligence, right? I mean, misidentifying a target and injuring someone's dog is negligence by every single matter. As a firearms owner, I don't know what the laws where you, the listener, are living, but here in Canada, you have a complete moral and legal responsibility to identify every single target. You have to do that. You can't just go blowing off rounds at whatever moves out there. That's unethical. It's illegal. It's unlawful. It's all over just wrong to do that. And I mean, did this, when people are out, humans as a rule, in the woods are noisy. So this guy must have heard this lady out there in the woods, right? He must have heard her and whoever she was with, husband or whatever, talking, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
So you're laying in there, you got all your camo on, and then a dog comes out and you pick the dog off. How inept must you be as an individual that this, that you misidentified the target. Now, the one thing I did notice about this article is that the hunter's name is not listed. And, I understand it's not listed to quote-unquote protect him because no charges have been laid. And I would imagine that hunter would get a significant amount of hate mail from many, many people about his actions. And this is a very unfortunate situation all around. It's awful to see this. It's good that, that the dog, of course, wasn't killed, that it was just a leg shot, thankfully, which also tells you that the hunter was inept. If the hunter didn't pick that dog off right where he should have picked it off, which is through the heart and not suffer, what if that was a wolf? Now what? Now you got a lame wolf running through the woods. Would he have pursued it? Would he have gone and killed it? Right? He shot the dog in the leg. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a very grateful thing that the dog survived and that the hunter didn't shoot the dog properly. But there's a whole bunch of wrong going on here. So I'm sorry, I do not understand. I don't understand at all how this happened. That he shot the dog in the leg, so he missed, and he didn't hear Bethany Dick, and she did say she was with a friend there, or it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. What's your opinion about that?
Well, I think it's strange that he can't. Like, wolves are generally not the same body shape and height, and I think they're longer than a husky. So I don't understand how you can mistake a husky for a wolf. Their body types are just too... Because I've seen a lot of wolves in shows on TV. I have a fascination with them. I have tons and tons of pictures that I don't know how you could misidentify a husky for a wolf. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very unfortunate. And I mean, the vet bills as well. I mean, it's bad enough to go through the trauma of having your dog deathly injured, right? Of course, the upside is that she did have some first aid training. She did put a tourniquet around the dog's wound. That's great. Kudos to that, to at least get it, to accidentally be put in that situation, but have the know-how in order to assist your dog. I mean, that's fantastic. Really, really fantastic. But the vet bills, I mean, they're saying they're going to be upwards of $7,000 to $8,000. For most people, that's a significant amount of money to do that. I don't understand. I truly hope that this lady civilly goes after this hunter. She has every right to do that. I mean, if you want to treat animals according to the law, where animals are property or freight or equipment, then this hunter damaged her equipment. No different than me going up to your car and beating it with a baseball bat and causing $8,000 damage. What's going to happen? You're going to get yourself in trouble. So I don't know why there wasn't any charges laid. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And again, the horror that this lady is going to go through of finding her dog. She said the dog was obviously shot driving to the vets. It's just awful. I feel very, very badly for her. Again, they are doing a GoFundMe account, right? Crowdsource funding. It's the new way people raise money for everything from big corporate building things. Companies are doing this. And, and I hope that she makes a decent amount of money, to help cover those vet bills.
I actually just went onto the GoFundMe page, and it says that this campaign is trending. And in 3 days, with 135 people, she has raised $5,933 of a $5,000 goal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I see that here on the GoFundMe page, and that's great, right? So people are responding, people are helping. But again, it basically boils down to, and we talk about this incessantly on our show, going into a wilderness environment and knowing what you're doing. Don't take a gun out into the woods, like Yosemite Sam, and just start blasting stuff. Understand your target acquisition. That is the most important thing you can do. Whatever is downrange, you need to know what that is 100%. We run an archery range. Don't get me wrong, archery is just as dangerous if done the correct way as a bullet. We run a archery range for children. Before we fire the first arrow, we go down there. We physically go down there and we look every single morning before we start work, before we start operations. We check to see where those arrows are going to go. It's very, very sad to hear this story. I wish that there could be greater hunter education out there. That more people would take a greater active role in making sure if you're taking a firearm into the forest, bow and arrow into the forest, an axe into the forest, that you have the skills and knowledge to protect yourself and your family and not get anyone injured. I mean, by far, this tragedy could have been way worse. The dog is lucky that bullet went in and just hit her in the leg, right?
actually 2 legs. Went through the front leg and then went through her right front leg and then passed through her rear left leg.
Now, here's the strange thing. On the GoFundMe page, it said this incident took place on Saturday, January 13th, but it says that the hunter shot the wolf with a .22. Really, a .22. The lowest of low-grade bullets. Can plinking, squirrel hunting. You don't take a .22 to shoot a wolf. You should have used a .308 or some big, huge .30-30, a hunting round. Like, why would a hunter be out there with a .22 caliber rifle? What's he doing? Plinking squirrels? So there's all kinds of things. So, of course, very, very lucky for this beautiful Mika there that the guy only had a .22. Obviously, he must have missed some all the major arteries in the leg. Very, very great for the lady, but for Bethany that she had some foresight in first aid, used a sock as a tourniquet. I mean, it was handled correctly all around in that aspect. But the gentleman who shot the dog, I mean, shame on him for doing this. Yeah,
but the bone damage in both legs, that could cripple the dog for life.
That's right. Yeah. That's just horrible. So, unfortunately, we're going to move on to our next segment, which, of course, will directly deal with what we just talked about.
Tips and tricks.
So in Tips and Tricks today, we are going to read an article which I wrote a little while ago on November 30th, 2017, and that is on wolfman.com. And it is called Dog Visibility During Hikes. So, if you're spending time in the woods, whether you're in the wilderness or on local hiking trails adjacent to cities, hikes are supposed to be exciting. They're supposed to be therapeutic. You're supposed to be out there bonding with nature and your pet and the people who like to hike in their bare feet and all that good stuff. Unfortunately, a bunch of stuff keeps happening in the news across North America to make, leisurely walks and hikes in the woods turn out into tragedy. So, for example, Thursday, September 19th, in British Columbia, Canada, a therapy dog that worked with people with autism and post-traumatic stress disorder, this dog was shot dead by a hunter. Thought it was a wolf. November 2017, a woman was shot by a hunter while she was on a walk with her dog in Western New York. So the woman it was a woman that was just picked off by a hunter who misidentified a target. All right? Think about this. The guy thought a woman walking in the woods was a wild animal. Right? How do you, I mean, was she naked and had horns on her head? I don't think so. She's probably wearing, in November, it's cold out, so she's going to be bundled up. She's going to have clothes on, even if she had a camo jacket. Whoever hurt that woman obviously didn't know. At the end of November in 2017, a couple had their pet pigs shot by hunters in their backyard in Ottawa. So, it's definitely an issue that the hunters are misidentifying targets. So it's easy for an uneducated person, though, to be like, oh, it's because of guns, blah, blah, blah. Hunter safety is lacking. But the sad reality is, once this happens, right, you can go ahead and say it's the gun's fault for whatever reason, or the car that drove the hunter there, or whatever. The reality is, once these animals are injured or killed, you can't get your companion back. Many people, they suffer the loss of a pet or a spouse, and it's simply from the hunter's neglect. It's that simple. Some of these people require psychological assistance to get over these. Some people, they just never recover. Recent studies have been shown that sometimes when people lose pets, it is as severe or more severe, especially when they lose them violently, as losing a family member. So one of the unfortunate things, that this does to people is that it can really mess you up mentally and physically. It's very, very unfortunate. Hunters, though, they have regulations in place to ensure that humans are supposed to be visible in the field. This concept is very simple, the way it's put together. All right, so when you go out into the field, you need to wear something that will differentiate you from your surroundings so you won't get mistaken as an animal and get shot. Right, so many people are aware that, there's illegal hunters out there, of course, right? Guys, poachers, who will hunt out of season on private land and all year round and stuff like that. So, you have to be careful when you go out there. We just cited, we talked about, this dog that was recently shot. I just talked about a bunch of other articles when it was shot. So for tips and tricks, of course, is what can you do about it? What can you do with your family to protect you and your family? Well, this is where tips and tricks comes in. So under the Hunter Orange Regulation of Ontario, all licensed hunters, including archery hunters and gun season hunters, are required to wear something called Hunter Orange. What Hunter Orange is, it used to be called Blaze Orange, I don't know why they just changed the name, is orange on your body, right? So I know it's really cool to go out hiking in your camouflage and your olive drab or black or whatever. But if you go out there and you mark yourself and your animals and your children with large amounts of orange, then you will be seen. The actual hunter regulation says you must have 400 square inches or 2,500 centimeters above the waist and visible from all sides. Oddly enough, I don't know why, but it can't be mesh. It just says that you have to have either a hunting coat or a jacket or a headpiece of Hunter Orange, totaling 2,580 square centimeters. So this is just good advice. You go out into the woods, why wouldn't you go to the dollar store and buy an orange bandana? Put the orange bandana on your backpack, put the orange bandana around your head, keep it on there for visibility, right? So the quickest and easiest way to do this is just, like I said, it's $1 for a piece of bandana. That could have prevented this woman, right? Yes, the dog was off leash, and I understand there's some fault there, but the reality is the dog was still injured, right? So if that dog had had an orange bandana on, that hunter would have immediately, hopefully, oh, that's not a wild animal, because generally speaking, wild wolves don't wear orange bandanas, right? You can get them for yourself. Bandana is a survival tool in itself. You can do all kinds of great things with a bandana. There's all kinds of websites out there that's like, 500 things to do with the bandana. And that's something we can talk about probably in another episode. But definitely, you want to get that hunter orange color on you. Let's say you have your favorite camo backpack. You can go on places like Alibaba, AliExpress, eBay, and you can get backpack covers, and they're $1. Free shipping from China. Who cares if they're any good quality? And you put the orange cover over your backpack. Now you got the big glowing orb on your back, right? Very, very important. Very, very. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that.
No, I just have to agree that you got to stay safe out there, and even though you hate, being that visible because you want to blend, be with nature, but your safety is more important than looks.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. I mean, there's I'm one of those people that support the concept of going into nature for long hikes or whatever, and you want to blend in. You want to, many people like to wear the camouflage. As long as you're not impersonating a soldier, there's no reason not to wear the camouflage if that's what you want to do. It's fine. Just understand the risk that comes involved in that. And again, we're seeing this trend that multiple people are getting injured by being out in the woods through negligence on the hunter's part. Like we had talked about in other previous episodes about, guys falling over waterfalls or whatever. There's a certain personal responsibility as well. Safety is everyone's responsibility. It's preventative all the way around. So no matter how safe you are, right, you could still have hunters out there. You could still have poachers out there, right? So when you consider it from that point of view, the best thing you can do is make sure that you're wearing the orange, right? And most places in the world have the Hunter Orange or Blaze Orange regulations. You just have to look them up. You go on to places, again, you go online, go to your local hunting store, right? Even if you don't hunt, even if you're anti-hunting, if you go to these stores, they will have the high visibility vests. They will have the, backpack covers. They will have all sorts. You could even go as far as to go to your local thrift store if you're really super inexpensive way, get a crossing guard vest, right? It's not regulation, whatever. They're orange. Throw that on. You're going to at least be visible, right? Same thing with your dog. get a piece of orange, go to either a dollar store and get yourself those orange bandanas. Doesn't have to be like the proper legal hunting regulation orange, blaze orange, but it's orange, right? Your dogs don't care, and it could save your dog's life. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, actually on the GoFundMe page, I guess how to find it would either be under the name Bethany Dick or the luckiest dog to get shot. There's quite a few comments, and there's one by Peter Fishwick that he posted some comments that are quite interesting. So if you do get a chance to go onto the GoFundMe page, even to just look at this, it's in regards to the hunter and what actually happened. So I would definitely suggest you go to the GoFundMe page under the luckiest dog to get shot and look up Peter Fishwick and read his comments.
Yeah, his comment says, the hunter said, now here's the thing, in the article that we talked about on the news, we didn't have this information. So I don't know where it came from. So there's no source cited. The hunter said, a dog comes up to me in a threatening manner. I don't care if it looked like a wolf or not. I will shoot it again. The dog, however, was shot from a distance of 30 meters. That's 98 feet for our American friends. So how can he say the dog came up to him? A dog doesn't come up to you 98 feet away. This means the dog didn't approach him. It means the dog was zero threat, right? It's like seeing a cat across the yard and saying, cross your eyes out, right? Right? So he doesn't want to admit that he mistook the dog for a wolf, so he's changing his story now, saying that the dog was a threat to him. So he guesses, and this is, I'm quoting here, this Mr. Peter Fishwick on the GoFundMe page. I guess he thinks it would be very embarrassing for him to admit that he mistook a small dog for a wolf. He's an idiot and a liar, and he shouldn't be hunting wolves if he doesn't know what a wolf looks like. Now, again, my only commentary on that, without attacking the hunter too much, is you don't hunt a wolf with a .22 caliber rifle, right? Anybody who knows anything knows about firearms. Many firearms enthusiasts consider .22s toys, right? So you don't hunt big game with a .22. It looks like enough money has been raised to cover all the vet bills. I hope he gets charged. If not, I hope she sues. And again, if for some reason, and it's an astronomically small chance, Miss Bethany Dick listens to this, I would definitely say everybody would support you in a civil suit against this hunter. So again, our tips and tricks section and our in the news section, we sort of tried to mesh everything together today. So again, our professional advice, and of course we run Barefoot Bushcraft Outdoor Education Center, is be visible when you're out there. I know camo is cool. I totally agree. I love it. I wear it. All different countries, whatever is legal for you to wear in your area. But remember, when you're in the woods, nature is very cruel and uncaring. If someone can't identify you properly, somehow you could get shot. Dogs and people are getting picked off all the time. And it's not to say that it's dangerous out there. I've been out in the woods 30 some odd years. The same with Tori here. We've never had this issue. Never. But it just seems to be that it's a problem. So the best way to take the personal responsibility for you being out in the wilderness is to make sure that you put the orange bandana on if you think you're in an area where there's hunters. This doesn't go for parks, because most parks are protected by law. There's no hunting in most parks. Not all, of course, but most parks. So if you're in, areas where there could be hunters, spend the $1 or $2 on eBay, buy the orange bandana or backpack cover, buy the orange bandana and put it on your dog. Keep yourself and your pets safe. So I guess that's the end of this episode, this part of our episode, which, my apologies if it seemed a bit gloom and doom, but that is the harsh reality of nature, is that sometimes out there people get injured and sometimes people do some strange things. So we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, we will speak to our wonderful guest all the way from Alaska. And that is, she is a fashion model turned into entrepreneur and dog musher, Zoya Denure. So we will be back right after this. We would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or suggestions or anything you'd like to say about the show or on the show, please get in touch with us. You can call us, leave a voicemail at 866 248-1362, extension 300. Tweet us at BF Bushcraft. Send us a message on our Barefoot Bushcraft Facebook page. Or, of course, you can even send us a picture on Instagram. And we are, of course, Barefoot Bushcraft. So please, we'd always love to hear from our listeners. Get in touch with us any way you can, and we will play your information on the air. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robert Suter from Survival Central Limited. Check out our two great prepper survival websites. For the beginner, survivalcentral.ca, and for the advanced, more extreme prepper, prepperextreme.com. Be prepared, stay safe, and survive.
And welcome back to this half of the Barefoot Bushcraft Radio Show. And we have our special guest today, Zoya Denure, and she is here, and she's all the way in Alaska today talking to us. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a full-time musher. I live in near a small community in Alaska. I'm about 20 minutes outside of a community on 30 acres. I'm married to another musher, and his name is John Shandelmeyer, and we have 2 daughters, and we have a pretty large kennel, and we mush full-time, and we work for ourselves, and yeah, so life is very full and busy.
Okay, this is Tori. How did you get into dog mushing?
I was living in Wisconsin at the time, and at the time I was doing something completely different in my life. I was modeling around the world, and I came back from Italy, and I thought, I just needed a break. I was looking for something else. I was sort of soul-searching. So I bought a dog at the time, and he was a Siberian Husky. He looked like the typical sled dog. And within about 6 months, I met a woman who was a sprint musher, and I just couldn't believe that people were doing it. I didn't know much about it, really, and I thought this was a fantasy. And she invited me to her kennel. Long story short, she took me under her wing, and she was my mentor for about a year. And after that, I was head over heels in love with the sled dogs and the sled dog life, and just wanted to learn more about it. And eventually, another year would go by, and then I would move to Alaska.
Wow,
cool.
That's really cool. So obviously most dog mushers have more than one dog. You said you started with one dog. So how many dogs do you have now?
We're close to 60 dogs right now in our kennel. We've got the 60 dogs. We do some rescue work. The rescue dogs, you can't tell who's the rescue dog and who is our own dog. But we do some rescue work. But about 30 to 35 of them, 40 of them are in a running program. The rest are either old dogs that are retired or the young dogs up and coming. So we're close to 60, and that's typically where we like to keep it, between 50 and 60.
Well, that's a lot of dogs. We have 3 huskies that are in our house, and a foster dog who we're taking care of, and 1 Jack Russell, and 5 dogs. 5 dogs is a lot for us.
Yeah, so that's it's a small number compared to us. Yeah.
How do you remember all their names?
Oh, we spend our life with these dogs, day in and day out. They're our priority. I mean, we're with them all the time. So we raise them, and we do, like I said, some rescue work. So when we do that too, like, you get to know them. They can just look at you. They look at me, and I know, hey, something's going on. Like, for something, maybe it's his paw, or maybe he's not feeling very well today. But we spend day in and day out with these dogs. So I not just know their name and the personality and the quirks, what they like, what they don't like, who they don't like. I know everything about my dogs. So it's, they're your family. It's, they really are. They've been our family. I've been doing this for 15 years with dogs full time. I've been blessed. And so they're like, we have a very big, immediate, extended family, I guess you could say, outside of our house. And our dog yard is right outside of our house. So even our kids are like, yeah, they're family. They know all the dogs too. So they're just a daily part of your life. So that's how.
That's awesome.
That's like maybe people in this, in the city, they're busy with their friends and all their coworkers and all the daily activities of people. I lived that life for a long time too, and so I understand that. And so it's like that with dogs. I don't have, they are my social life. I have little time for a social life nowadays. I have some friends that are people, and they understand that, wow, they're crazy busy with their dog life. And so, yeah, the dogs are people friends, I guess you'd say.
That's really cool. Now, of course, like I said, we have a few dogs here, and there are babies like yours. They live in our house. So do you ever keep all your mushing dogs in the house as pets?
You know what? It's funny you say that, because I tease my husband or he teases me, I should say. We tease each other because we're both the same. But we keep saying we have to build a bigger house because we do bring the dogs in. Not all of them. I wish I could. But we have about 4 that are retired that come in, and they live in the house. And then we have a German Shepherd in the house, and we also have a Yorkie. That's my 9-year-old daughter's doggie. And we have a little cat, and everybody coexists really great. They're all good friends. So, but in the last 6 years, we started feeling like, we needed to do more. So we built a dog barn. It can house up to 42 dogs. And so every night, we bring in the old dogs into the dog barn. It's nice. It's really comfortable for them. And then also, if we have young dogs with a high metabolism that we call them the skinny dogs, they can't afford to sleep outside in the cold. So like last night, for instance, after chores were done, I wait until about 9 o'clock. I come back out and I load up last night I loaded about 30 dogs into the barn because it was, almost 20 below. And that normally isn't very cold, for the Arctic dogs, but some of the dogs that we have in the kennel, they've been bred for, more speed, and over the years you're seeing a different kind of dog. Some of them don't have so much fur. They have the little bit of greyhound or spooky and more of a hound dog in them. So these dogs get colder quicker and they need more care. So over the last 6-7 years, we've just been bringing dogs into the dog barn. And as they get older, we have a handler's cabin that's right by the kennel also, and we have whoever the handler is. I always tease them and say, when you come here, you have 4 house dogs already. And so there's 4 dogs that live in the cabin, and they're very nice. They're very quiet. They're old, and they have their own rugs, and they sleep on the sofa, and they have to be taken care of. And so when we're between handlers, that's my job or John's job, and we take care of that. So we have a house, we have a cabin, and and many old dogs that need care. And that's the thing, we keep our old dogs until the very end. And so there's a lot of care that's involved in this, and a lot of time. It's full time.
That's just amazing. So of course, we have, like I said, most husky owners have a lot of dog hair. So
how much dog hair do you have?
Well, yeah. We have a hardwood floor in our house and hardwood floor in the handler's cabin because we've learned over the years otherwise everything is covered in fur. And so we have leather couches in the buildings also, and yeah, so, and we sweep. We just constantly sweep. Sweeping. It's full time. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but yeah, we figured it out over the years. Even, our handlers say, yeah, it's a lot of sweeping, but when we put the rugs down, we have the rugs for the old dogs and some of the dog beds. There's always hair. We carry hair with us everywhere we go. We go on vacation with our family, and we think we've cleaned all of our clothes, and then we're looking at ourselves in the airplane going, it's like we're carrying our dog hair with us. That's okay. They're always with us. It's kind of always with us.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. We've got the 4 dogs, and my Jack Russell is white, so I've just decided I'm not going to wear anything but gray from now on, so it'll match with all the dog hair.
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah, dark clothing, especially if you got the dark dogs, or light clothing for the light dogs. Most of our dogs we got a lot of dark dogs, a lot of white dogs.
So, speaking of fashion, you were once a fashion model. Anybody who punches your name into any internet search engine, all kinds of fashion model photos come up of you. So, tell me what inspired you to become a dog musher. So, you're leaving your open-toed high heel sandals for mucklucks all year.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't planned to be that way. So, if you would have told me when I was 19 and modeling in China for Fashion Week that Zoya, in a couple of years, you're going to be head over heels for sled dogs, and you're going to move to the Arctic and be, frozen temperatures half the year, I would have said you were crazy. I had no idea, honestly. But I think what really what inspired me, a couple things. When I met that woman from Wisconsin, she was real. She was like this real person she was in her Carhartt working clothes, and back then I would always be in nice dress clothes and nice shoes. Everything was always perfect, on the outside, perfect looking. And I remember meeting her and having like a real different kind of conversation, and I thought, this is cool. Like, wow, the animals, they don't care what you're wearing. They don't care what your hair looks like. They like you for you. And that, to me, that opened up a whole different world. And I was like, I have to find more about this. I mean, I love animals. When I was a kid, I worked at a farm, and I also volunteered at a animal shelter when I was a real little kid, because we couldn't have animals where we lived. And so my mom let me do volunteer work, and so I got to help with the little cats and the dogs and walk the dogs and clean the cat cages. And so that was, anyway, so fast forwarding to my adult life, that to me, like being able to just wear whatever I want and work around these animals who are just so grateful for your love and your attention, to me was so cool. Yeah, and I remember thinking at the time I was modeling and traveling, and there was a lot of, adventure in that, and it was exciting to meet people from all around the world. I felt like I had learned a lot and seen a lot, and it helped me grow, as a person. And in some ways, it changed my life forever. I felt like wherever I go, I can be happy because I've seen so much and I've done so much. But that wasn't enough. I was still searching for something, and I wasn't even sure what it was. And then when I met that woman and I saw her dog kennel, and I was like, wow, all these dogs have personalities, and she had different goals for them. She knew them so well, and said, this guy, he doesn't like to run very fast, so we do the tours with him, but he still loves to run. That's in him to run, and it's in all of these dogs. She was just, she explained so much, and I got it right away, and I really enjoyed the personalities of the animals, and just thought, wow, there's so much adventure with them and so many opportunities. And, the wilderness life, it's just so different. And so there's a lot of things about it that attracted me. So I thought, yes, this is something I want to do. And I didn't think about that I was leaving the modeling. It was just something different that captured my heart more than the modeling had, I guess, at that time, and I had done for so long. This really this captured my heart and my imagination, and it felt right, and away I went, all the way to Alaska, with just dreams in my pocket.
That's an amazing journey. So, of course, you came from the the high fashion world, the fast-paced living, and like you said, you changed over into becoming a country girl sort of person. So what kind of transition? Was that really hard for you, or was it really simple, or how was that transition from city living to wilderness living?
Yeah, honestly, it was not easy. I came to Alaska and I thought, oh, I know everything, and I had a little bit of I'll be honest, you have a little ego when you come out of the modeling world, because everybody's giving you stuff and they're treating you like you're great everywhere you go. And so I had a little bit of that still going on. Like, so I got to Alaska, and people up here, they're different. They're like, who are you? And we don't care what you look like or what you're wearing. So, and you want to talk about what? Yourself and, your things going back at home? No. Come on. Get that pooper scooper, girl. Go clean my dog yard. And the dog's got to be fed at 10 o'clock, or they got to be walked, or they got to be... So real quick, I learned, like, holy cow, this is a different world up here, and the priorities are different. Like, it's time to put myself aside and step out of myself and care for these animals. And if I don't get with it, I'm gone. And the guy that I worked for was very good. He was very professional, and he was very clear. And he was a top 10 Iditarod musher for many, many years. I had a lot of respect for him. His name is Mr. Bill Cotter, very well-known musher. And he was very, very nice and fair and gentle about things, but he did make it clear. One day he came to my cabin and said, well, what are you doing? And I said, I'm taking a break. I was checking an email. He said, have you walked the puppies? And I said, oh, no, I'll get to it after my email. He said, oh, no, you have to walk them every day at a certain time. I have to run my kennel like you would a business. Otherwise, I'm not going to be successful. That's why my kennel is successful, because I manage it and I run it a certain way, and it's on a routine, And so right then and there, I got it. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And I got with it, and I realized quickly it's time to step it up or leave, So I stepped it up, and I got with it, and I learned quickly just, how to run, manage, train. But it was hard, because at the time I didn't know how to start a fire. I didn't know how to use a pocket knife. I mean, I really came straight from the city with no skills. I didn't grow up with a father. It was just my mom. So I really lacked, a lot of things like the skills that people have already up here. And when it came to dog mushing, I just had I was very naive, but I had so much love for the dogs and so much curiosity and no fear for the wilderness. Like, come on, let's try everything. So that's what kept me going, was that, that hunger to learn and the love of the dogs. Like, it always goes back to the dogs for me. I always say, hey, it's just always been about them, and they keep me excited and inspired because they're just so awesome. And they're amazing. But the transition was not easy. People weren't very kind the first 5 or 6 years up here. They maybe would, I because of my modeling background and because also we started doing rescue work. So that was there's just a lot of things I always felt like made, a little uncomfortable around other people. But over time, I think people finally said, wow, she's serious. She's still here. She's still running dogs. And so I think people, after a while, said, okay, that's who she is. She's doing it, and she's still doing it, and still doing it, and still doing it. And so, but the transition definitely wasn't easy. There were times I wondered, what am I doing? And even friends back home in Wisconsin, they said, you could be still with a modeling career. You could be in California. You could do this. And why do you want to be up there? Nobody's up there. It's just you and and these dogs. But I did. I met my husband up here about almost a year and a half after I moved to Alaska. And that was really great because I had loved it up here. And I spent a year and a half. But I remember feeling after I went back home for a visit and I came back, that, I want to be up here. I want to have the sled dog life, and I want to run dogs and race and all these things, but I want to share this life with somebody. I didn't want to do it alone, and I wanted a family someday. So when I met my husband, it was funny. I wasn't looking for a husband or a boyfriend. I was very focused on dogs and very stubborn, and actually at the time I thought, I'll probably never get married, but maybe, I said that like in the back of my head, I hope someday. So when I met him and he blew me off my feet, I was just so thankful. And I always tell people dogs really were the bonus in that love affair because we just really connected in every other way. And it just was wonderful that both of us had the same ideas and feelings about sled dogs.
Oh, that's great. As this is your full-time living, how do you fund for your adventures?
That is a good question. So it's, very expensive lifestyle. So we, over all these years, my husband, he's a commercial fisherman, and he's had his own operation in Bristol Bay. He's been commercial fishing there for 45 years. And so now he has his own boats, and he's got a crewman of usually 2 to 3 men. And so he does that every summer from June until the middle of July. And so what he makes in that month and a half is what most people would maybe make in a year. So it's quite a bit. It's that's the bulk of our income. And then we have a tour business that we started. It's a family business called Delta Outdoor Adventures. And it's small. It's not very busy, but, we're here so people know. And so we work with a couple lodges. And what we do is we offer ice fish tours. And so right now the market seems like we have a lot of Chinese people that go on these ice fishing tours. And we do some snow machine tours. We do ice cave hikes. We do some dog mushing. That's not the main, we do some. That's not the busiest part of the business. So we have those things going. And then we also have a business called Alaska Wild Products. And we had started that just recently, actually, but it's taken off pretty well. And so I'm able to work from home and do most of everything here. And we have a smoked salmon business. And so it's like smoked salmon products for people, and it's shelf-stable. And so I sell to many restaurants, businesses, gift shops, stuff like that. And then we have salmon oil. It's pure salmon oil for cats and dogs. And that was the first product we came out with, and that took off pretty well. And so I pretty much stay busy getting those orders ready and shipped out. And we have a little shop in town. I open about 2 days a week just for a couple hours, just so that we have a local presence and people can come in and pick up, their goods. So it's a little bit of everything. I also teach fitness and yoga, lifestyle coaching. Again, that's just another thing. It's not very busy. We live in an area where there's not a lot of people. But again, there is interest in these things. So when you live this far away from the main population, you have to, and especially if you're going to work for yourself, you have to, think about what are we doing already that, or what we like to do that we can offer to other people. And so my husband and I, over the years, have, we had a summer property we've done for years, and so we turned that into a place where we can have rentals. And we built 5 cabins out on the Denali Highway on our 5 acres, and it was his hunting property a long time ago, and now we have a summer home out there, and we have cabins. And so people can come and rent the cabins in the summer, like nightly rentals and stuff, and go hiking, and it's right in the heart of the wilderness. It's just beautiful, and it's on the old road to Denali Park. So again, over all these years, we just kind of figured, like, what are we doing? What can we offer people? We both love the outdoors. We want to keep people connected to the outdoors, especially, everybody. But the last couple of years I've been doing a lot of stuff with kids in the summertime, too, like summer day camp for kids and stuff like that. So, it's just a lot of different things. My husband writes for Alaska newspaper. It's ADN, and he's been doing that for about 7 years. So all these little things, everything brings in something. So it all kind of goes right back into the lifestyle.
That's amazing that you and your husband, you guys do so much. Of course, Tori and I run Barefoot Bushcraft Outdoor Education Center, so we do a lot of nature immersion stuff with children, and then we teach like the archery and the axe throwing and all that stuff as well. When it's warm out, and then this year here in Niagara, we haven't had any snow that much, so we've only actually we usually do like dog mushing and cross country skiing, but the snow's been horrible. So it's been awful. But
that's hard. Yeah.
But we have had the cold that you guys see, but not as much snow. We've only gotten out a couple times. But that's really cool that you guys do so many things. That's no wonder you're always busy.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, but also we have 2 little girls. We have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old girl. They have a great life because mom and dad are always around. We're in and out. Yes, we're busy, but we're a family, and we spend a lot of family time together. And that's all they know. They have friends. I always say our kids have the best of the both worlds. Our kids have piano, and they sing in town, and they do recitals, and we have a nice church we're a part of, and there's all kinds of things going on besides what we have going on right here. And so they know about how to use a generator. Like our 9-year-old's like, why would we ever want power, Mom? Because we recently, I think we're going to end up getting power. There's a power line coming through here. So she's like, why would we need power? We got a generator. We make our own power. She's so funny. And and then we haul water also. And next year, I think we're getting a well put in, finally, after all these many years. But again, why would we want that? We haul it. That's normal. Because it'll be a lot easier. Dad won't have to pick up water every morning, and drive 15 miles away. And anyway, but it is a busy life. It definitely is. Can I go back real quick? There was a question you asked about, and I really wanted to talk about just real quick, if we have time, about the difference between the city life and the city life and the wilderness life. I really like that question because it made me think about it, and I thought, in the city life, man, things are pretty easy, compared to out here. Like you really have to, you can just go along. There's power everywhere. You don't have to think about the power and the water and where all this stuff is coming from. It's just in place where people can exist easy. It's easy to just kind of go along with your day. But the other thing, too, about city life, there's so many things to influence you and pressure you. It's constant, stuff in your face, like the TV, the media, the radio, the billboards, and all that. So I remember back then, when I was living that life, thinking, am I good enough? Should I have that face cream? Should I buy that? Just always in your face. And that was one thing when I moved to Alaska I really liked. That's not up here. It's like you're kind of free. I always say there's a lot of freedom up here, and there is, because you don't have that constant influence in your face of what you should be like or who you should look like or what you should watch. You don't have all that, which I like. But up here, you have to learn to take care of yourself. You have to know how to do things. You have to always be prepared. So this lifestyle makes you think for yourself and for your family, because you have to. Nobody is here telling you how to do things and how to structure your day and really how to raise the kids. It's all pretty much left to you. pretty much, especially when you're not in the heart of a city, in mainstream lifestyle. So and then the weather up here is extreme, so it can rule your day. You can have plans one moment to do something, and then it might be 40 below, and you have to change your whole course of your day. So you have to learn to be flexible. So it really is pretty cool once you get over those hurdles of like, oh man, I can't do that. Okay, well, you just change your mind and make for something else for that day. And in the the other states, the weather is never really that extreme. Might be once a year or something. But if it's bad weather, you can still pick up and go to town and do something inside somewhere. Where out here, we don't really have those options to do that. If we want to see a movie, we drive 100 miles. And so it is a little bit of a different lifestyle. And I have to tell you, over all these years, it's no big deal to drive 100 miles to see a movie. So when my kids want to do something like that, I'm always happy to take them. So it definitely is a big difference between that city lifestyle and the wilderness lifestyle. And I'm thankful that I guess I've had both. And so I've learned how to live both and balance things out and learn how to be just self-sufficient. And now when I do visit the cities or I go on vacation, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I don't need anything. I just got my shoes on me and it's so easy. I don't have to have my matches on me all the time or my headlamps or my extra batteries. But anyway, yeah, there's a world of difference for sure. But it's amazing.
I'm sure, many people out there, especially our listener base, of course, really envy that kind of lifestyle. Now, you had mentioned that, you had zero, and rightfully so, you had zero wilderness skills when you moved to Alaska, right. So you didn't know how to start a fire, or like you said, you just had your shoes on you, and that was it. So what kind of skills did you need to learn, the hard way, of course, probably for most of them, and why did you find that you needed to learn how to light a fire, repair a generator, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, up here you have to know how to start fires because most of the houses and the cabins, not all of them, of course, in the city, but if you're going to live outside the city at all, you're going to have a wood stove. And you got to know how to keep that wood stove safe and clean the pipe out, clean the ashes out, start a fire. And you're going to have to know how to cut wood, bring wood in, and just always be prepared for cold weather. Because up here, winter is it goes from, October all the way through April. It's a long winter, so you have to be prepared. And so I carry matches on me all the time because I'm usually on the dog team. But even if I'm in my car and I'm between my house and anywhere, it's 14 miles to the town and 100 miles to the city. So there's always a great distance between places. And so I always have my extra headlamps and my batteries in the car and a little, in a sleeping bag and all that stuff with me. And then when I'm on the dog team, the same thing, just little things like that. Not a lot of stuff, just the basics. And the basics are the matches and the headlamps so you can see. Because, again, it's dark up here a lot of the time in the winter. And so you want to be able to provide light and provide heat. So, because with those two, you can live. But those are the things you have to learn how to do. And just learning how to take care of yourself, again, because you don't have people up here telling you all the time to, okay, remember to do this, otherwise your cabin will be cold. When people come here from out of state, we do train them. We explain how to use things. We show them. It takes people a while. Some people get it right away, and some people like it, and then other people say, wow, it's too much. It's too hard. There's too many chores involved in being able to live this simple lifestyle. And it's simple in some ways, but to get to the wonderful place where you can enjoy it, you have to learn all those skills. So in the beginning, it doesn't feel simple. It feels like, wow, it's a lot of work and a lot of chores just to stay warm, But after living this way for so long, it's no problem, and I don't mind. And I actually enjoy, the wood smells and gathering the wood outside and bringing it to the house. And there's that sense of, we did that, and that's keeping our house warm. And that's cool, And I enjoy stacking wood with my family. The kids really get into it. The 4-year-old's really funny. She's really into carrying one log at a time and doing her best. But it's just, again, there's a lot of skills, like starting fires, having a pocket knife so you know how to cut your bags open, because you can't always just rip them open like your seed sacks or anything up here because of the cold. So you have to have a pocket knife and know how to use that. And you have to know how to use it so you don't cut yourself. And those are things that I had to learn. And in the beginning, I remember mushers laughed at me. I had a musher on one race who said, wow, you're going to cut yourself. she saw me trying to use my pocket knife, and that was one of my first races. And she's like, and she came over and she said, "Here, let me show you." She gave me a quick lesson how to use that pocket knife. And I'll never forget that. And I remember thinking, like, wow, I'm so grateful she took the time to show me before I cut my finger off, you know. But, hey, nobody ever showed me that stuff before. I really didn't know. I was just, you know, young and really excited to just be up here and be a part of the life with dogs and just everything that is around it. Just really excited but naive. And I look at that and I say, that's okay. We've had a lot of different people over the years come and work for us as handlers, and the ones that are most excited and enthusiastic about the dogs are typically the ones that know nothing about any of it. But we like that. We say, that's okay. They're, you know, your excitement, your mind is a powerful tool. So your mind can get you through the learning part, you know, and it might take some time. But if you have that heart and that drive, then you'll get there, like I did. And I look at the dogs, and I always relate to the dogs. There's so many parallels between dogs and people and dogs and kids. And we have some dogs on our team that other mushers might say, wow, that dog doesn't look like he doesn't look that good. But I know that dog, and I say he has heart and drive, and he finished Iditarod last year. There's a couple of them in my team that just have so much heart and so much drive, and they were able to finish the Iditarod, you know, because probably they thought they could, and so they did.
So how did you start racing competitively?
Well, the first year in Alaska, I worked for the Iditarod musher, Mr. Cotter, and he had me train the yearlings, and the yearlings are the young dogs, like the 1 to 3 year olds, and then he worked with his older team, his veteran Iditarod team. So that first year, I got experience with some really hot rod, fast, fun dogs, and he said about 3 months in, "Do you want to race?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Do you want to race the dogs? We'll go to all these races together. You can race the yearlings, and I'll take my Iditarod dogs." And I said, "Sure. Sounds like a dream come true, so let's do it." And so we did, and I came in second in a 60-miler, and then I think the 200 I came in one from last, and then we went to a 100-miler in Dawson City, and I came in, I don't know, 4th or 5th. And after that, I was like, there's something to this. Really, I just really liked the feeling of going fast with the dogs. I thought that was fun. But I also like seeing the dogs develop over time, and then having goals for them, having goals for us, and seeing the changes and the progression. So that's how it all started. And over the years, it changes a little bit over the years, of course, and we change as people grow, and we change and we evolve. But I love it. I love seeing the dogs progress, and so the developing and training is a lot of fun. And then going out on the trail and seeing just how they do, and you know what they're seeing them, work into their whatever they can do on the trail. If it's going to be 5th place or 8th place, I don't know. But it's fun to try to do our best and see where that best takes us.
That's amazing. I remember my first time hitching mushing dogs. I was working, like yourself, I was working for an established mushing company, a tour company, and I remember we put 12 dogs on the cart, and we raced through town, and it was like we were passing cars. It was awesome. It was an amazing experience, and that was where my love of mushing came in. So you mentioned the Iditarod and other races. Mm-hmm. So what races have you competed in?
I've competed in the Copper Basin 300, the Klondike 300 many years ago, the Finnick 200, the Gin 200, Copper Dog 150 down in the States. We did the UT 200. That was in Calumet. That was in 2012 or 13. And Iditarod.
So the Iditarod's one of the biggest, most challenging races. They say it's one of the last great races in the world. Can you tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
Oh, it's truly the journey of a lifetime and the adventure of a lifetime, and it just forever changes you. It's amazing. It's a trip. Yeah, you're with your dogs, and that's all you're doing. You're taking care of them. They're taking care of you. You're going down this beautiful trail, and you're seeing things you're never going to see at home on the home trails. And you change. Your team will change, and they're going to develop even more than they had at home, because you're continuing down a trail and you're going to different places. And it's amazing. There's nothing quite like it. I guess my rookie year was 2008, and I came back off that trail thinking, and I told my husband at the finish line, I said, was the most amazing experience of my life, and I want to keep doing it, and I can see why people can't come back every year. And never is every year the same. You have different trail, you have different conditions, different weather, even, your dog team changes each year. So the experience probably varies every year and for everybody. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's hard. It's you have your highest of highs in the trail. You have your lowest of lows. You have days where you're thinking, what am I doing? It's so cold I can't even think. Everything's frozen. And then you think, then it changes. A couple hours later, you get your chores done. You go in, you take a rest. You take care of your feet and your hands. You get up, you go out and check on your dogs, and they poke their heads up out of the straw, like, hi, Mom. They're happy to see you. You give them a snack. You feel good because you're awake. You had a rest. You come out, you wake up, and everything looks different. And then you get ready to go, and you go down the trail again. Each run is a little bit different. You're going to have great runs. You're going to have runs where everybody looks like they're still sleepy. And us mushers don't feel any different. We're sleepy also. And then we wake up again, and all of a sudden you're on top of a mountain. You're looking over the world, and it's just amazing. Or you have a full moon. Last year, I don't think I used my headlamp. I used my headlamp quite a bit, but not always, because we had a full moon, and it was a lot of times you could shut your headlamp off and just travel with the dogs on the open rivers, and yeah, it was just amazing. It was just incredible. So there's nothing quite like it. Like I said, in 2008 I finished. Then the year soon after that, I had my first daughter, and we had some handlers at the kennel, and I was like, wow, what was it like to finish the Iditarod? I said, well, it's almost like giving birth to a baby. And the boys laughed. They said, well, we definitely don't know anything about that. I said, no, I know. But it's definitely life-changing. It changes you.
That's amazing. How do you keep warm in the extreme cold up there in Alaska?
So we have good gear. I've got, for running around the kennel and doing chores, I have wool boots. They're called Lobens. They're made in Norway. They're really just a warm wool boot. And then we have bunny boots. And lately, the last 2 years, I've been wearing they're Cabela's Trans-Alaska boots. Those are really nice. Big parkas. We have mushing parkas. There's a couple of different people that make mushing parkas up here that we go to. And then the last couple of years, I've been getting really cold, and so I've had a little nerve damage done on my fingers. So now I'm doing a lot of research, and I found doTERRA oils are actually helping me quite a bit. I mix black pepper oil with citrus oil, and I put them in a roll-on, and I put them on my fingers and my toes before I leave the house. And so this year on the Iditarod, I'll be carrying about 3 or 4 of those roll-ons tightly close to my body to keep them warm. And then I have toe warmers and hand warmers and stuff like that. So, and again, just being prepared. In the past, I wouldn't use the hand warmers or toe warmers. I would take them like, oh, that's a great idea. And I'd have them stuffed away in my sled, and I'd never use them. Last year, I would, before leaving the checkpoint, I would take an extra 10 minutes, open up those hand warmers, open up the toe warmers, shove them in my boots, shove them in my mitts, and that would make all the difference in the world. And that's how we got on the trail last year, because it was cold the first 3 days. I think it was between minus 50 and minus 60. And it was very, very cold. Everything was frozen and cold.
Wow, and we're getting down temperatures here, but it would be in Celsius, so we're getting down to minus 20 Celsius, 30 Celsius, and Tori just went out and bought her first Canada Goose Resolute parka to keep warm. But it's nothing cold like you've got. That's amazing.
Yeah. Up here we typically are used to minus the 20s or minus 30s. This year it's been very warm, and so now when it gets down to, like last night, it was 12 below most of the afternoon, and it felt pretty cold. I said, oh no, because normally we're at 20 below, and so 20 below isn't, it's the average, and so you acclimate and you get used to that. But this year it's been above zero almost the whole winter. So I don't know what's going on in the weather. I know it's changing. We've had a lot of warm weather, but I think the cold weather's coming, so.
Same for us here. So, like you said, you've done multiple different races. Which race was the most challenging for you and the dogs?
The Iditarod. Yep. The Iditarod is the most challenging because you cover so much land, and you are, you're out there on your own. You're going to see everything. You're going to cross lots of, like last year, lots of glare ice sections where, your dogs, they must be great leaders because you're asking them to go for miles over glare ice and follow the trail markers. And if, obviously, if they don't, you're going to end up somewhere you don't want to be. So it's amazing the kind of terrain you're going to see. You're going to have great trails with snow, and then you're going to have dirt and ice and areas that have no snow because the wind blew the snow away. You're going to have creeks you're going to cross. You're going to go through tight and winding trees. You're going to have big hills and, little mountains to go up. Last year, we were headed up this little McKinley mountain, and it was the heat of the day. It was so hot. I remember taking my parka off. I was down to my little wind jacket, and it was really hot. We're headed halfway up the mountain, and my leaders were just like, really, Mom, we're just hot. And so I would, all right, guys, just give them a little break for a second. Go up, I'd pet them. It's all right, guys, and they're like, all right, I'll keep going. So then I could tell nobody really wanted to go up this mountain anymore, but we had no choice. You can't go anywhere else. You've got to keep going forward. So I went up and petted everybody, and I look, and in the middle of my team, I have this big, tall dog. His name is Bobby Day, and he's just a wonderful dog. He's a rescue from years ago, but he's a team dog, and he's barking. He's wagging his tail. He's one of the biggest, fuzziest dogs in my team also. He's wagging his tail and he's barking. So I thought, well, okay, I'll try you, buddy. So I put him up in single lead, and he led us up and over the mountain just without stopping. He was cruising. I couldn't believe it. Pretty incredible. So anyway, we got to the top of the mountain, and my other leaders were ready to go again. So I switched them out, and away we went. But I remember thinking, like, you see it all and go over it all, from, these little mountains to big, areas where there's no snow to where there's lots of snow, and you might have so much snow you got to dig out or get your snowshoes out. But it is difficult because you're out there for a long time. You have to have grit. You have to be able to dig down somewhere inside yourself and say, got to keep going, because there's going to be times out there where it gets very hard, and mentally you can crack. And I've had those years. I think those are gone now. I'm over them. But I had some tough years when my little kids were very little, and trying to, at the 200-mile mark, 300-mile mark, that's when mushers typically have their down, they call it, where you come up against a wall. And that wall is the wall of doubt. And the dogs feel it, you feel it. It's important that you get through the wall. And it was hard. When my little kids were small, I would get to the wall, and I would be either frozen or my dogs would have something going on, maybe a couple would have diarrhea. But I would always say, okay, that's it. I should go home because my kids. It was very hard, and it was hard for me to climb over that wall of doubt. But anyway, I worked hard at figuring all that out, and last year made a great big effort to, conquer those doubts and those things. And so I did. I pulled that hook out of Tanana and had tears streaming down my eyes, and I descended down on the river, and then I knew I was free. I felt like I could do anything. So I've overcome a lot of things over all these years of mushing, from thinking you know it all to going, I don't know anything, to, okay, I think we got this. But Iditarod, it's amazing, and I think once you reach a certain place in your life, spiritually speaking, but also in your knowledge of how to care for dogs and knowing dogs, I think it can be anything you want it to be. It can be you can look at it as a very competitive race if that's what your goal is, or you can look at it as a trip or a journey. I'm somewhere in between. I really enjoy the journey of it. That also, like this year, I would like to try not to oversleep my alarm and be a little bit more competitive. I would love to come in the top 20, and that's kind of the focus this year. We've been training a little harder and just focused on being a little bit more competitive than we've been in the past.
Well, that's amazing. So what's next for you?
Yeah, Iditarod. Yeah, we've been training hard for it, so we got that coming up in March.
That's really amazing.
So it's just something you're going to keep doing again and again and again because of how amazing and challenging it is?
I think so. I look ahead, and we were just talking about this the other day. Yes, I love the Iditarod. I love so many things about it. I love the villages and the people around it. It's truly a celebration of dog mushing. It's the main event. It's the big event. I think personally, and just cool to be out there with your dogs for that long. Like at home, I'm multitasking for everything all day long. Like today, I've got a training run to do in about 2 hours. But when I get back, I've got other things I have to do around the house and with the kids. And then we're going to come out and do more chores. And it's just so many things. And so last year on the Iditarod, by the time I got to Galena, I was just I was like, this is the best. It's like a vacation almost for me. It's just me and my dogs. All I get to do is run dogs. And when I get to a checkpoint, I take care of them. I go in, I take care of myself, I take a little nap, and then I get to run dogs again. I don't have to try to run businesses and be mom and do all that stuff that I have to keep up at home. And I work hard at keeping up with our life with kids so they can have their life and, making sure everything's balanced and everybody's happy. And it's hard. And that's the hardest part these days about mushing. It's not the dogs in the wilderness and the cold or any of that. It's just keeping up so we can get to the Iditarod. So, yeah, the plan is to do the Iditarod. I'm not sure how many more years, as long as we're able to financially. And I always check in as a family. We're very close. We're a mushing family, but we talk about it like, is this too much, or are we good? And so far, every year, everybody's like, no, we're good. This is good. Everybody loves what we're doing. The kids love the dogs. My husband loves to train, so we work hard at training everybody together. So he'll have teams he's training. I've got dogs I'm training. We might switch off the next day so I can take a look at those yearlings. And so, we really work hard together as a family. I think as long as financially we can do it and the family's supportive, and it seems to make sense for our life, and absolutely. And I think every year I get to do it is a blessing.
Very, very cool. So now, of course, some of our listeners might be interested in dog mushing, interested in that lifestyle. Sometimes people would like to get in touch with you. So if someone wanted to reach you outside of this show, what's the best way for them to do that?
We have an email and a website. They could go to the website. That's Dog Sled Denali. So dog and then sled and Denali, DENALI.com. And our email is on there. They could always shoot us an email.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to be on our show today. It's a very personal, exciting thing because, like I say, I'm a recreational dog musher and very passionate about the dogs, similar to yourself. So thank you very much for coming on the show, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wolf. Yeah, thanks to you both, really. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We would love to hear from you. If you have any comments or suggestions or anything you'd like to say about the show or on the show, please get in touch with us. You can call us, leave a voicemail at 866-248-1362, extension 300. Tweet us at BF Bushcraft. Send us a message on our Barefoot Bushcraft Facebook page, or of course you can even send us a picture on Instagram, and we are, of course, Barefoot Bushcraft. So please, we'd always love to hear from our listeners. Get in touch with us any way you can, and we will play your information on the air. Thank you.